And welcome to Part-Time Nerd with your host, Alan. And joining me amid protest is one Mr. Rapid Dave. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. I woke up this morning and said, you know what? I'm going to watch this movie. I'm going to grind through it.
So if you don't know what we're talking about the movie Space Jam: The New Legacy. I wanted to review this last weekend, but Rapid Dave was like, yeah, no, I'm not watching it. So you started it, and then you stopped, and then you picked it back up today.
I did.
What made you turn it off?
One, I pushed play on Saturday. I think it was Saturday or Friday night. I can't remember. And I noticed it was a 2-hour movie. I'm like, oh my God. And in the first 5 minutes or so is all LeBron highlights from like a kid, I guess, going all the way to the pros and whatnot. I was like, it's like who produced this movie? ESPN? You know what I'm saying? It actually was so annoying. And then I had to listen to him talk, and he's talking to his kids, and he was kind of, it's got to put into work and all this. I'm like, dude, I'm done. I just can't handle it. So I shut her down and walked away. But I know I said I'd watch the movie, and you brought it up yesterday when we were recording for another show. And I was like, you know what? I'll just do it in the morning. Why not? I got to do a little bit of clerical work. Why not? So I power through for you.
I appreciate that. So initial thoughts, Space Jam: The New Legacy. You powered through the first part. What do you got? Anything?
I was gonna say this was a terrible movie, and it sucked. It blah 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 blah. But here, I'll give you the reasons why why I think that. I think that because I'm 40 years old. Okay. This movie is not produced and made for a 40-year-old guy that doesn't like LeBron to begin with. Right? I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm like I said, I'm 40 years old. Michael Jordan will always be, my favorite player or the greatest. But they leave a little bit in there. They actually a lot. They put a lot in there to draw back your nostalgia. It's obviously Looney Tunes are running rampant. You see a lot of characters that you haven't seen in a while, and most of them have been canceled. I think there's a couple that I noticed that were not in there now that I'm thinking about it. There was a couple that were not in that movie. But as the movie progresses, it's John Cheadle, I think, does a pretty good job. He's a lunatic algorithm program. But as they fill the court and the sidelines and everything like that, you have every single Warner Brothers character. You had the Mask, you had the Penguin, the Night King from Game of Thrones. I mean, you're sitting there looking around because one, you're not really focused on LeBron's acting abilities because no one. I mean, who cares? It's LeBron. LeBron lovers are going to love LeBron. But I'm just sitting there watching everything else. So once I realized this movie was made for like a 12-year-old, back when like in 1996 when Space Jam came out, I was like 16, and I thought it was okay then. I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever either, but it was all right.
Right.
So all in all, that was my initial thought. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's at a certain point in time, I could sit down and I can watch it and I could have some fun with it. All right. When you're going through and Bugs Bunny's going through and recruiting the team, and you're seeing all of the Looney Tunes dispersed throughout the whole Warner Brothers universe and things like that. My kid, sat down and watched it with my 7-year-old, and she absolutely loved it. Thought it was great. Was dying laughing. Was clapping during the movie. Was just having a good time. We're watching the movie at home. You can do what you want, right? I don't care if she claps when she's sitting here at home. Yeah, I know you have a whole rant on people who clap during movies, but she got into it. She was emotionally invested into this movie. So when they come back in the second half and take the lead and they win, she's super excited about it. When you're seeing all the different characters, and for a lot of people, it's nostalgia. For her, a lot of these characters are still new characters to her because I introduce her to all this stuff. So when she's sitting there and she's seeing, she's even pointing characters out for me. She's like, "Hey, Daddy, there's Pennywise." Now she's never seen the movie, but she knows who the character is.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Giant, she knew who that was. She knew we just recently watched Kong Skull Island, so she knows who King Kong is and things like that. So she's seeing all those characters. She's pointing them out to me as she's watching it. She pointed the Penguin out to me when it was you talked about him being in there. But yeah, you have every character. Now, I kind of thought maybe it was a little bit of overkill with all the characters that they put in there. I mean, you could spend 3 hours breaking down all the different characters that were in it and everybody that you saw for sure, easily. But I mean, all in all, it wasn't an awful movie, but I wouldn't classify it as a good movie.
No, I mean, I think it was perfect for the demographic they're trying to reach.
Mhm.
Kids, kids from the ages of, I don't know, 2 to 12,
Right.
and any LeBron lover. He's got a massive fan base, and they travel with him no matter what team he plays on or what TV show or movie he's doing. So for what it was, the graphics, the entertainment, and I don't think it was overkill. I think they included every single character for an absolute reason. They wanted to show you that was one, all these characters are part of this one massive brand,
Right.
but also the adults saw characters they haven't seen since they were kids. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? When I start looking at, I'm like, oh man, that's awesome, But they did fly by as they're, I think, going into Looney Tuneville or whatever planet they call it. You're passing through the Matrix, you're passing through Gotham, Metropolis. So all these different like DC, Matrix. There was a couple others as well. So that's already in your head. Like, oh, okay, you're going on a ride. Most younger children aren't going to know those movies. I mean, they know who Batman and Superman are, but
Right.
as far as the Matrix and whatnot, as much as I didn't like this movie, after I got past the highlight reel, and I didn't mind animated LeBron, but when he came back and was like regular LeBron, I was like, ugh. Because I could have just, he's just voicing the act, he's just doing voice acting at that point. Who cares? And he's not like a bad actor either. I'm not going to blame it on that. But, when the game finally went down, that's when I had a lot of laughs. I had like burst out laugh moments, but it's not because of the comedy that was written. It was just the things that I observed. Um, what I tell you, I said Jake from State Farm about to get tossed. Don Cheadle is dressing up like different notable head coaches, either in basketball and football. He was Bobby Knight,
Yep.
and then it was what's his name, the head coach for New England Patriots, Belichick.
Yeah.
So I had some chuckles on that, and he tossed the chair onto the court or whatever. I was like,
Yeah. I mean, I definitely had a few laughs. All in all, am I gonna watch it again? Maybe if my kid wants me to sit down and watch it, right?
you're gonna
But
have
I'm
it
not
fired
gonna,
up in the background.
right. It'll be more along the lines. It'll be something in the background. She's already watched it a second time. She sees Lola Bunny is now her new favorite character. Uh, so she's every time we go to the store, she's looking for the Lola Bunny little figure and things like that. But all in all, I mean, it wasn't bad for what it was. It wasn't any better or any worse than the original Space Jam. I just think the original one will ring more true to us because we were younger when it came out, like you said. So it wasn't like we're 40-year-old men now going and watching something. It's more nostalgia.
Yeah,
And except you're a huge Jordan fan. Me, I couldn't stand Jordan, but
he used to beat up on your Pistons all the time.
yeah, we used to beat up on him too.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, it's a different thing. He's a lifestyle product, type. He's a lifestyle guy. And that's why he's in this movie. You know what I mean? He does bring a lot. Uh, the dude is a living legend, like right now. You might not like him and you might not appreciate him because he's kind of changed basketball. He was such a dominant basketball player. I'm talking about LeBron, not Jordan, obviously now. But I think everybody can't get past like the flopping. And the way basketball was back then, these guys were rough and tough and physical, and there was no flopping. If you were on the ground, it's because you got hit.
right.
It wasn't like a fan, or you got fanned on the face or whatever. But anyhow, I think that's the only thing that draws me back on it. When I watch, I'm like, ugh, geez. But I mean, the guy's a living legend. Now he's got Space Jam. The last person to do it was Michael Jordan, obviously. Dude, I got to tell you about that. When they were like 6'6" out of North Carolina, I was like, Michael Jordan's here? And they were like, Michael B. Jordan? They go, we couldn't get Michael A. Jordan? That part was funny. And I stood up and I was like, oh my, here we go. But dang, I was let
That,
down.
that part was definitely funny. I'm like, okay, all right, Michael Jordan, and then he stops. He's eating popcorn. He's like, "What's up, y'all?" They're like, "What? Michael B. Jordan? No."
Oh my god. Anyway,
Oh,
yeah,
but
it
yeah,
it wasn't as bad after I got past the Sports Center hype, BS, and it had gamer. Obviously it brought it in a little gamer information, and his younger son is creating a video game. He's more into video games than basketball, and
right.
so that was neat for me. I was like, well, just watching that, I was like, oh, look at this. He's creating stuff, and I think it's interesting.
Yeah, it had that there's parts of it that have that nostalgia feel that, like, Ready Player One has
Exactly.
with all the characters and things like that, so but, I mean, all in all, not a bad movie. It wasn't a great movie, if you don't have kids, you don't necessarily need to watch it, but if you got kids, have your kids watch it. Your kids will enjoy it, and, you know, watching a movie with your kids that they enjoy, you tend to enjoy it a little bit more because you take more joy in it because 'cause you're having fun with your kiddo, so but, yeah, you got any other thoughts before we, cut
I
this
don't
one?
mean to end on this note, but you're
Uh,
right.
you
As
know
soon as I saw the Iron Giant and Kong, I went straight to Ready Player One.
oh,
That's
yeah.
where my mind went immediately. I was like, "What the heck?" But
Yeah.
anyhow, yeah. All in all, as an adult that not watching it with your kids, you're probably not gonna like this unless you like LeBron or you just like Looney Tunes, and you're gonna get some nostalgia out of it.
Yep. Alright, guys, well, that's all we got for today. We'll check in next time. Deuces.